70 Top Secret Weekly. As I mentioned, Weekly ended up being one of my favorite rookies this year, and I just really am looking forward to seeing what their sound is. I think we got a pretty clear idea from their first and second albums or mini albums, but I'm really looking forward to them. I didn't love Zigzag as much as I loved Tag Me, but Top Secret was one of the B-sides off of their second album, and I really enjoyed it. It had that same sort of school, but happy, energetic, chill vibe, I guess, that their first album had. I think if you like Weekly and you've listened to the song, you'll know what I'm trying to describe. There's just something very like wholesome and happy about their music, and particularly in Top Secret, I think that comes across. I don't know, there's just a lot of great little moments in this song that make it a standout B-side track. 69 Merry-Go-Round Eyes 1. This song has such a really great throwback energy to it. I mean, it definitely draws on that like 70s inspiration, and I just enjoy it. It's so well done. The pre-chorus is really interesting to me, and I love the chorus with the strings under it. It's such a great track. I just really enjoyed it. I think it was a great song. I love their B-sides so much, and this one, that chorus just hooked me. It stayed in my head long after I stopped like listening to it regularly. It was just one of my favorites this year. 68 All You Are Fanatics. So I'm really curious to hear people's thoughts on this song. I really love this song, though I do feel like there is something that always sounds off in it. Like there is constantly something that feels like discordant or clashing. I think it's really unique, it's really interesting, and I actually love the instrumental chorus. I usually don't like when songs do that, but it is really fun. It's really engaging and challenging, I think, and that is where something sounds like off, like something is clashing with something else in the song. So I feel like most people probably don't actually like this track, or maybe I'm just crazy, but I really enjoyed it. I liked it the most off of their more recent second album. I wasn't a huge fan of their title track, but this song I listened to a lot this year. So I would love, if you haven't listened to this track, check it out. Tell me if you think I'm insane, or if you hear the like weird sound that I'm talking about. It's not even a particular thing. It just sounds weird, but I love it. It's really addictive. So tell me your thoughts on this song. If you love it, if you hate it, I'm very interested to know. 67 Panorama Eyes 1. As I mentioned before, Eyes 1 does their very specific title track sound so well, and I get a very like distinct Eyes 1 vibe at this point when I hear songs that have this like very electronic, elegant tone to them, if that makes sense. So I really felt like they've been creating that sound, particularly since Violetta. And while Fiesta was a bit of a miss for me, I liked the track, but it just got tiring quickly. I feel like Secret Story of the Swan and this track really show just what they're capable of when it comes to that specific tone. And I love that. It really showcases their voices and their talents so well. This song in particular, Panorama, it's just a solid track throughout. It has a really engaging chorus. I love the key points of it. And yeah, it's just a great song. 66 Jazz Bar Dreamcatcher. Dreamcatcher is one of the groups that I think has the most talented lineup in girl groups right now. Definitely one of the most talented. Their voices are amazing. Some of my favorites by far, and I'm clearly biased because I love Dreamcatcher, but all of their voices have something unique but also blend so perfectly together. And I feel like Jazz Bar really showcases the other sounds that their voices can really suit, opposed to just the rock sound that we're most used to hearing from them. And I just think Jazz Bar, I love jazzy songs, and anything that really focuses and plays up that jazz sound I love is always going to rank pretty high for me. But this song being by one of my favorite groups with some of my favorite voices in K-pop, there was no question it was going to end up on this list. 65 Bon Voyage, Yua. This is our first Oh My Girl solo, and I loved it. I was so excited to see that Yua was getting a solo album. I have always really liked Yua's voice, and this was not exactly the tone I expected for her album. The entire album just had a really light and summery outdoors-y vibe, and that really came across on Bon Voyage. I think it was just a really nice, refreshing song in the midst of the other comebacks that were happening at the same time. And the album in general was great. This song at first I felt like was a little lackluster, admittedly. I liked it, but then felt like, yeah, it could be a little better if they did something different here or whatever. But the more I listened to it, I really enjoyed the simpler moments in it. It really was a nice track. 64, Now or Never, April. April had a really good year for having basically disappeared completely from the K-pop sphere for a while. I'm really hopeful that this means we'll get some more April comebacks in 2021, but Now or Never specifically was one of my favorite summer songs. This song had that pure summer energy. Obviously, there were other songs that came out in the summer, but nothing felt quite like that summer hit until we got this song from April. And while I don't think it necessarily like blew up in Korea, I wish it had, it's a perfect summer track. It has so much fun. The chorus is really catchy, and the music video was adorable and perfectly summery as well. And April just had a really strong year in general. Now or Never was a solid summer track, and I hope that we see more of them in 2021. 63, What You Waiting For, So Me. This song had a bit of a interesting trajectory for me because when I first listened to it, I was a little let down because I felt like it was really short and it'd been a whole year since we had heard anything from Somi musically. I just felt like it'd been a long time since anything had come from her, and then What You Waiting For initially felt fast. Like it just felt really quick, it felt kind of empty, and I didn't love it, but I think I just kept getting suggested the video on YouTube and it just kept playing up until the point where I kind of realized I'm like, no, I do actually really enjoy this. It feels kind of like a Kesha song to me, or in that vein of like Kesha era songs. So I think that's maybe part of what caught me off guard at first, where I just felt like it did seem maybe a little dated, but the more I listened to it, the more I just enjoyed the song, and I think her voice actually really suits this song. So What You Waiting For ended up being a really fun song. It was really hooky. It just like became addictive. Like it was just engaging and fun. So I hope we get more music from her. I'd love to actually get like a mini album and hear more from Somi in 2021. 62, Lovesick Girls, Blackpink. Blackpink title tracks are always a very interesting experience for me because I either love them or I hate them. For example, I absolutely hate How You Like That. I cannot listen to it. I hate that chorus. Like, and it was hard because the pre-chorus and the verses, beautiful. Totally my cup of tea. And then you get the chorus with like, it sounds like an electric like rubber band. I don't know, the like I hate it. I hate it. Okay? But I really love their music overall, and it's just interesting because Blackpink is always a super polarizing group just for me. I either love their music to death or I cannot listen to the song at all. And Lovesick Girls is actually kind of maybe a little bit more in the in-between. I do actually love this song, but there were songs off of the album that I loved more. So, Lovesick Girls is maybe a little lower on my list, but it was great. I really enjoyed kind of the more vocal heavy song and a chorus that had more vocals in it in general, because I do feel like, when we get the How You Like That or Did It To Do's or songs like that, they tend to be a little more empty and pared down in places, and that's not the tone I personally really like. But when we get stuff like Lovesick Girls or, Kill This Love, where there's like these maybe more orchestral or these heavy instrumentals, that's more in vein with what I typically like in songs. And Lovesick Girls definitely has that Blackpink energy with a bit more of that emotional tone that I really love from vocalist as capable as everyone in Blackpink is. It was a good song. It was a good year, I think, for Blackpink. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, Lovesick Girls was great. It was a great track. 61, Dear Me, Taeyeon. Perhaps not surprisingly, I love the more emotional orchestral song that we get from Taeyeon. It basically checks off all the boxes of stuff that tends to stick with me and just make me engage with it in a more emotional, more compelling way. It grows a lot throughout the song, so it's a very interesting, dynamic song. Taeyeon's voice is absolute perfection, as it always is, and it just was a very powerful start to the year. The song came out last January, and it still was just one that I found myself wanting to listen to at particular times. It's a bit more emotional and a bit more heavy, but it's a beautiful track nonetheless, and just a gem from Taeyeon as always. 60, Dolphin, Oh My Girl. Oh My Girl has had a really good year. If you haven't heard Dolphin, which I feel like if you're remotely a K-pop girl group fan, like you've heard Dolphin, so I don't really need to explain why Dolphin is so much fun, but it's just a great song. It's so simple but addictive. It has like those differing moments throughout the track that make it more interesting to listen to without ever really becoming overcomplicated. It blew up in Korea, so like everyone knows it, and I think it is one of those B-sides that genuinely deserves all the recognition that it got, and I'm just happy Oh My Girl is kind of finally getting the spotlight that they deserve. I'm so happy to see them on year-end stages, and I don't know, they really deserve it, and Dolphin's a great song. We all know it's a great song though, so. 59, Future, Red Velvet. This is our first OST song, and I really loved this track. It definitely had that retro vibe that a lot of songs had this year, but it really worked, and Red Velvet's voices just really paired well with this. It kind of reminded me in many ways of Body Talk from their Rookie album, but a little more light than the heavy tone, I guess, of Body Talk, but that had been one of my favorite Red Velvet tracks in general, so having that similar tone just meant I loved it even more. It also kind of reminded me of a Kors song, like the Kors. Like, people are gonna think I'm like 50 when I give like the Kors and like the Go-Go's as my musical references, but there's this song called Hurt Before by the Kors that like I grew up really liking, even though it's sad, because of course it's sad, but I really liked it, and it kind of reminded me of that. Again, there's this like light-hearted but emotional tone to this song that I always love. It's why I loved Love Bomb so much when it came out. Anything that has that kind of happy light tone but also like this very intense emotional side to it, anything that kind of mixes those two components, I'm gonna end up loving. I always love when you find those like hidden gems. Last year there was April's Feeling, which was an OST song that I absolutely loved. And yeah, don't forget to check out OSTs sometimes. Like, they're sometimes more than just like sad ballads, and this song is one of those. 58, Be in Love, Itsy. As I've mentioned, I really love the songs that have like an emotional twist to them, and this Be in Love song hits the nail on the head with that aspect. It has such a strong emotional pop-y vibe to it, and it's so gorgeous. It's so well done. I really love Yuna's parts in this song. She has a lot of like little standout lines that are really like what stuck with me through the first few times of listening, and then the choruses are gorgeous. I love hearing Leah and Yeji really just get to sing in this way, like because a lot of Itsy songs don't really have like that emotional vocal tone to them, and this I think kind of gave them both a chance to show that side of their voices more. It has just such a unique sound for Itsy. I don't feel like we had really heard them have this tone before, and I know it's meant to be a fan song, so it makes more sense that it's this more loving, emotional track, but it's great. I loved it. It was my favorite song off of the Not Shy album. 57, Dum Da Dum, A-Pink. I feel like this is one of those songs that people are going to be surprised maybe isn't higher on my list, and I did really like it. Obviously, it's pretty high on my list, but I feel like a lot of the lists that I've seen so far for top songs of 2020, like this song is in like people's top tens a lot. And that makes sense. It's a fantastic track. I think for me, it's hard to compare it to some of my other favorite A-Pink songs. Like, it doesn't have the same impact to me that like I'm So Sick did or did, but it's still a great song. I mean, this song came out, was it last April, I think, already? So it definitely has, you know, like a lot of longevity, not necessarily the same longevity that like or I'm So Sick did for me, where I listen to those songs still today all the time, but it's a solid song from A-Pink for sure. I really do love seeing A-Pink's evolution into their more like mature concept, and I hope we get another comeback. I mean, it seems like their comebacks are kind of slowing down to one a year right now, but I hope we get just as awesome of a song in 2021. And yeah. 56, You Zip April. I love this song so much, and I feel like, as I've said before, if you've watched my other videos, maybe I even said it in this video, everything's blurring together, but I love songs that create a real sense of ambiance right away. Like, you immediately envision something, and this song is just like blue, purple tones, it's night, it's raining, it just immediately creates that feeling in you from the instant that like waterfall piano starts. It's so gorgeously done, and their voices are so beautifully layered in this track too. I loved it. I think the Kpop album by April this year was one of the best. I love this track. It's such a strong B-side. It just really does create that like rainy night, purple, blue, pink tone feeling, and that's fantastic. It's hard to do that as powerfully as this song does sometimes.